Welcome to the podcast, Stop Crying Poser, greatest podcast known to man as, voted by Coleslaw and Brandon. Shout out to everyone in the chat room. Today we have Turtles, Fluffy Nails, Day Day, Captain Chloroform, Carbs and Curbs, Fitnoid, Support the Farts, Cam 702, and maybe a couple of lurkers deep in the shadows. It's been a fun week this week, kind of eventful, but instead of having a fun thing happen on Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, then Thursday, then Friday, all the fun stuff mostly happened on the same day. But last time I did a podcast here on twitch.tv/Ninja Lifestyle. By the way, we do this podcast every single Friday, right around 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. The current time is 3:33. We are perfectly on time. Last week, we did the podcast 2 hours early so that I could go to a skateboarding trade show. So getting to the trade show, I ended up parking at a casino next to the Las Vegas Convention Center, which is about a 15-minute walk from the actual convention center. So we walk, and then we find there's a bunch of construction, so I have to walk even further. 20-minute walk, my legs are tired. I get there. I realize that even though I sent the information to my friend T, by the way, T came with me, even though I sent the information, I guess he forgot to fill it out or lost the email or something, and it was past the deadline. So he didn't have a pass, so I went in there and tried to play this game where I get my pass upstairs, and I go downstairs, I pretend I lost my pass. They weren't buying it at all. They saw through my fakeness. So then I just had to pretend that I lost the pass, and I had to pay a fee to have a new bracelet made. So then, instead of it being free for both of us, it was $20 for him, which I said, you know what, dude? I pretended it was my fault. I was like, hey, you didn't fill out the paperwork that I sent to you so that we could both get in free, so I'll pay for half of your ticket. So I ended up paying the $20. We get in there. The convention is not a skateboard convention. I thought it was like what would be ASR, the old action sports retailer, or Magic. Magic is another action sports convention. This one was called the Champs Trade Show. I had no idea that Champs has something to do with weed. So it must have been, the showroom was as big as 4 football fields, and it was 2 stories tall. So it's a football field below times 4, and then walk upstairs. It's the same event above you. Absolutely massive. I was reading after I got done that it had 27,000 attendants to this weed show. You walk in, every single table has pounds and pounds and pounds of weed for you to smell, I guess. You're not allowed to smoke it, and they're not allowed to sell it. And I was wondering too, a lot of them, I guess, aren't actually weed. Some of them are like fake weed or some type of hybrid or hemp weed or not quite THC. I don't know the details of it because I thought I was going to a skateboard convention. Turns out I go there, go upstairs, I walk for about 20 minutes. I finally get to the end of the showroom, and there's like a little 5-stair and some hubbas and a kicker ramp. And then you go down a little bit further, and there's a giant vert ramp. And I was like, oh, so this show really has nothing to do with skating. And then, of course, you know, a lot of skaters show up to that thing. I think there was like $1,000 prize or like $5,000 prize. So all the people that you'd usually see at those trade shows, I've been to like 3 or 4 or 5 of them in the past couple years. It's always the same people competing. And saw a few people in there, some pro skaters and some well-known Instagram guys that I've publicly been talking shit about online. And when I went in, I was really afraid. I was like, oh no, my Instagram comments, I'm going to get beat up. I'm joking. That was not a concern at all. Went in there, no one did anything. The skating was about what you would expect. A lot of wall rides, a lot of skateboarding tricks that don't get caught, you know, a lot of 180s. I don't really understand. Also, they wouldn't let me skate because my badge didn't say skater, it said buyer. And also, having a badge in a giant place with weed that says buyer, everyone was attacking me like, hey, buy my weed, buy my weed, buy my weed. And I'm like, I'm not really a buyer. This is like a fake badge. Sorry, bro. Anyways, I went in there. I was like, hey, I want to go say hi to all my friends in here. You know, I have a couple of buddies that were doing like the judging and taking photos and shit. And they're like, we can't let you stand anywhere near the skate obstacles. And I was like, it's cool. I'm not going to skate. I won't get hurt. And they were like, well, you can't. And I was like, well, my friend who runs this thing invited me. You know, that's the reason I'm here. And they're like, no, he doesn't run this thing. We do. And I was like, oh, you, like, overweight woman, you run the skateboarding contest? Okay, cool. You sure it's not, like, you don't have any skateboarding clothing on? You're the head honcho for the skateboard competition? Tell you what, bitch, how many stairs is that? Those two ledges on each side of the stairs, what are those called? How about, if I flip my board, how about you're telling me you could name the trick? If I make the board flip and spin, you'll be able to tell the difference between a varial flip and a tray flip? Lady, this is your skating competition? Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, got a hold of the real person in charge, and then they were saying that maybe someone had gotten hurt, so I had to prove that I had health insurance, which I do. I have health insurance. Proved it just to walk in there and say hello. I got to see one of my buddies from Canada. I guess he's been out here for a while. Met a couple of Instagram guys. I met the skater, Off-Grid Skater. Really nice guy. Ended up hanging out with him later in the night. So the trade show was actually really boring. Kind of a waste of my time. Spent $10 on a single beer. Ended up leaving that thing. On the way out, I caught a couple of tricks on the vert ramp. Seeing real life tricks on vert is pretty humbling because these guys were flying. The vert ramp's already, 12, 14 feet? And these guys are flying an additional, 6 feet above coping. Heel flip, grab, varial flip, grab, move the board back. It's pretty gnarly. And I was also like, well, they don't ever do grind tricks. And as soon as I say that, this guy does nose grind and then does switch nose grind and then pops in, no problem at all. I'm like, okay, well, these guys are actually really talented. And then my final justification is, rich man sport. Anyone who can afford to practice vert probably has a giant $1 million ramp in their backyard. And then the next guy up skating was named Elliot Sloan. I think he actually does have multi-million-dollar ramps in his backyard. So on the way out, somebody asked me if I would sign their badge. And I was like, are you sure, dude? Like, I don't really matter. And I looked down and the only other people to sign the badge were Elliot Sloan and Ragdoll. And I was like, are you sure you want my name on here, dude? I was like, you kind of got a good thing going here. I'm only going to make this less valuable. But it was a good time. The trade show was great. After that, went to my buddy Dave's house, who basically has a concrete skate park in his backyard. Showed up there, ate a little bit of food, and then that guy Off-Grid showed up there and met all of his homies, Jonathan and Jesse and some other guys who... Then after I left that, I went to the bar to play pool, and then those guys joined us at the bar. Basically, they were following me around. So I typically don't hang out with skaters, but this was a day when I was pretty much surrounded by nothing but skaters and weed. And something cool that I saw that I posted on, not Instagram, on Discord that some of you saw, was somebody had made a vape into a tech deck. So you can smoke the weed vape, and then it has trucks and wheels on it, and then you can make your little hand do a flip trick with the vape and then pick it up and smoke it. I don't know. I thought that was clever considering that booth was right next to all the skating stuff. Just thought it was funny. A lot of people were trying to hit me up, like, buy my weed. One guy's like, you got to smell this, man. You got to smell this. And I was like, I'm sure it smells good. He's like, no, dude, you won't believe it. I was like, I'm mostly looking at the tech decks right now. He's like, no, after you're done looking at the tech, you got to smell this. Smell this weed, man. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll smell the weed. Smells like weed. And he's like, right? And I'm like, what? Yeah. You like, yes, yes, the weed smells like weed. So does the weed at the other 27,000 booths that are here. Why was this so important to you? Why was it so important to you to interrupt me multiple times? So now I have the new strain of COVID from smelling that stupid-ass weed. Anyways, that was just Friday. The weekend went on as normal. And then a couple days ago, I had just gotten paid. I was feeling good. Fitnoid came over. I said, man, let's make a fancy steak, surf and turf, steak, lobster, fingerling, potatoes, some broccoli. Oh, it was going down. I made a compound butter. The steak came out perfect. Reverse sear, perfect. Sear on the top, perfect. Medium rare. Oh, it was absolutely so good, dude. And then the potatoes came out great. Threw on a bunch of like Italian spices on those. Threw in some scallions. Oh, it was the best. Took a photo of it. The lobster, never cooked a lobster before. It was pretty simple, right? Drop it in, and then it was cooked. Made garlic butter, garlic lemon butter. Oh, it was so good. So I've never cooked a lobster before. And after I cooked it, I sat there pondering, how do I get to the meat? So Fitnoid goes like this, breaks it open with her bare hands, and then she's like, see, just do that. And I'm like, maybe you could give me some more instructions? And she's like, nope, no instructions. Just break it with your hands. So I grab it and I start to push it. It slices my hand open because I didn't know exactly where to hold it. Then I look online. That's not the way to do it. You're supposed to use scissors. My hand is cut open. That was pretty whack. And then the food ended up being really good. After that, I said, you know what? Let's go to a hip-hop show. Got to see my buddy Trade Voorhees and Leroy Chops perform at Taverna Arts District, Las Vegas. Only cost me $8 to get in there. And the beer was $7. So that was $15 down the drain. The performance was great. Only about 20 people showed up. It was on a Wednesday. You know, what do you expect for a show on a Wednesday? It ended early, so I said, you know what? Ate some great food, got some delicious food in my belly. It's filled up, right? I'm happy. Got to see my friends performing their musical talents. Do that. I say, you know what? Let's go stop at the bar. Let's grab one beer so I can gamble my $20, and then I'll go home. We can watch a movie, relax, get a good night's sleep. No big deal. So I go there, I gamble my first 20, I hit $160. I go, oh boy, that was nice. I go to another machine, I put $20 in that machine, I hit $460. I go, oh boy, now I'm rich. So by the time I left that bar, ended up playing a game of pool against this guy, Buddha. T showed up, played against him, played a couple games of pool. That was fun. By the time I left, after tipping the bartender, I had $360 still. So even though I technically won like $500, you tip 10% on anything over, I don't know, $200, I guess. So I think I tipped like $40. I won $500. I tipped about $40, and then paid for everyone's drinks. So and then gambled some more. Obviously, I gambled another like $100. I don't know how the math works out, but I got out of there with about $360, which I still have to this day. So that was going all good. The only thing I lost on this day was my hand. Cut my goddamn hand open, but it was fine because it matched my other cut on my other hand, which happened the same day, except that happened from skating. I showed up to the skate park ready to go. My bones were good. Took me an ibuprofen. I was flexible. I said, you know what? Last week I landed a pop shove it late flip first try. And then I did it again second try. 2 for 2, 100% accuracy. I said, you know what? No need to try this trick anymore. I'm going to go home on a win. Take the W, as they say. So 7 days goes by. I say, you know what? I did that pop shove it late flip on flat ground. I bet I could pull it off on a ramp. So I go to do it. I land 2 of them sloppily. This video came out today, by the way, on Twitch. No, not on Twitch. On YouTube.com/Ninja Lifestyle. I landed 2 pop shove it late flips, but they were a little bit sloppy. But I had a backup plan. I said, you know what? If I can't land the real skateboarding tricks, I might as well do the fake skateboarding tricks. So I got up there in the transition, up in the bowl section, and did a foot plant, did a hand on the skateboard, nose grab, foot plant, hoppity bullshit combo. I think the internet, it's one of those situations where when I look at myself skating, I say this trick is kind of dumb. But then I also say, well, very few people do this trick. It can't be that dumb if you don't see this trick very often. It's probably, I don't know, maybe not difficult, but not a lot of people do the sweeper, foot plant, to board stall, to feeble. Not a lot of people do the blunt stall nose grab to switch foot and then jump into the air. But I thought to myself, I wonder if people online are going to make fun of me for doing a lame trick. And then I thought to myself, what would Grayson Fletcher do? So I punched myself in the head a few times and I put on some face paint and I said, surely no one online would hate on my lame ass tricks now. So then I thought that would be a fun skit to do. Maybe this week what I'll do is I'll make a video where I gotta dress like him, I gotta get a fake beard, I gotta do fake face paint, I gotta punch myself in the head, I gotta film it kind of blurry, and since I'm goofy and he's regular, I would have to mirror the footage. But I might try to figure out a way, if I could find a way to look just like him and do the trick, and then like upload that and say, is this cool or not? And everyone's gonna say, oh, of course it's cool. You have face paint and you punched yourself. And I'm 11 years old. So everything that on that plane is gonna be very, very cool. Then I'll post a video of me doing it. And all the people that said it was cool are gonna say, oh, it's lame when you do it. And then I'm gonna go, gotcha. It was me the whole time. This is how easy it is to twist your little brains. Your little easy to influence brains. And that was going to be my plan. All I got to do is dress up like a pro skater and act super fucking lame. And then it'll be this big gotcha moment where I'll do a poll. I'll be like, was the one on the left cool or was the one on the right cool? Everyone, the one on the left's cool. And I'll go, got ya, that was me. Both videos were of me. Neither of them were your favorite pro skater. And I also just showed you how easy it is to look stupid on purpose and influence the next generation of skaters. It's a cool idea in theory. Will we actually make it happen? I don't know. But I was saying, on that trick, I ended up doing the little foot plant or whatever you want to call it. The internet's trying to tell me it's called a bean plant. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to continue calling it a sweeper because it looks like I'm sweeping. I cut my thumb open because as I went to grab the nose of the skateboard, it hit the side of my hand and a chip of wood, basically a splinter, but a very violent and thick splinter went deep into my thumb. And I think some of that wood is still lodged into my thumb right here. You can kind of see it. I think deep in there is some wood. Hopefully my skin will just push it out eventually. And I have another little baby cut right here from the lobster. Why am I so accident prone when it comes to skateboarding and lobsters? I should probably never go skateboarding at the bottom of the ocean. It would be an absolute disaster. Speaking of skateboarding, I did want to run something by you guys that I put a little bit of thought into. And the question is this. In their absolute prime, when each skater was at their best, the best of the best, who was a better skater? Bam Margera or Rob Dyrdek? I think to myself, they're fun to compare because they both went on TV. I mean, reasonably speaking, they both went on TV like 10 years after their prime. A lot of people forget that Bam Margera was really good at transition. And he also did okay at Tampa tournaments because he was one of the first guys and one of the few guys that was doing switchback tail and switchback lip in the year 1998. Rob Dyrdek, kind of a one-trick pony, right? He had his nose grinds, he had his switch front tail slide, and that kind of was it. And if you look at who did better in contest skating, Bam Margera pretty much wins that across the board. If you look at park skating, especially since most of what Bam has is going to be park skating, Bam is going to always be better than Rob Dyrdek. The only thing that Rob has going for him as far as that is that some of the street footage that Rob puts out, you know, like the ledge skating and I don't know, he did one really big rail in a DC video where Bam Margera, I don't know if we could think of any big rail he's ever done, but I think the majority of people would say Rob overall in his prime was better, but I think I would say Bam is better. And if you go back, we watched a little bit of it yesterday on stream. If you watch like 411 VM like 35, Bam, you know, he beats up his dad. He does like a lame day in the life. It's really cringy, right? I remember he's driving in a car and he jumps out of the car and does like a little somersault on some nice soft grass. And everyone's like, oh, dude, fucking edgy, man. He jumped out of a car going 10 miles per hour and rolled in some nice soft grass. And then he walked over to the cameras like, yeah, no big deal, man. I just do that to warm up. That's how I get warmed up to skate. And I watched that and I was like, ugh, cringy, man. I'm sure a 12-year-old would think this is super badass. The same people that think that shit is super badass, those are the same people that are rooting for Grayson Fletcher to do a kickflip at a bowl contest. So I guess I can see that there's like a consciousness in skating that you transcend after a while, where you kind of know the difference between really difficult skating that takes a long time to get good at versus a silly gimmick that is really, it only exists to impress children. And as far as skating goes, you know, money talks. Bam Margera, maybe he's not the best skater, but he was selling the most products. And the reason he was selling the most products worldwide is because he jumped out of the car and was so cringy. So Grayson might be onto something. Anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts in a comment, especially if you're watching this podcast on YouTube. Who do you think is better, Bam Margera or Rob Dyrdek in their absolute prime? I think if you took them to a famous ledge spot, right? That courthouse spot with the ledges. I think that Rob would destroy Bam. If you took them to any skate park ever, I think that Bam would destroy Rob. So I think, I don't know, I would love to hear your thoughts just in case you guys have an outside perspective. Kind of curious. iBookBoy says, I love Bam. His mini ramp skating this year is really good. I don't know if I can agree with that. Elementality and the audio vid was good. iBookBoy says Rob Dyrdek. I was in middle school when he was in his prime. Can confirm it was sick back then. Yeah, I'm not saying that Rob Dyrdek sucked, but I am saying if you took the best 5 tricks of his career, they're not going to be that impressive. Maybe, you know what? Feel free to prove me wrong. The best 5 tricks of his career are not going to be that impressive. I mean, unless we consider like him becoming a multi-millionaire, that's impressive, but he didn't do that from kickflips and nose grinds. He did it from being a little bit smarter. You know, he kind of seems like a go-getter. I would say the same about Bam, though. iBookBoy says he did so many scary things in early Jackass, like jumped into a really high tree. Yeah, I guess he did. Anyways, speaking of that, today we have a trivia question for the fans. Whoever is the first person to answer this question in the chat gets a free Ninja Lifestyle sticker pack. The question today is easy. What is Bam Margera's real first name? He's better known as Bam Margera. He was born on September 28th, 1979 in Westchester, Pennsylvania, to April Margera and Phil Margera. I'm not sure why there's a quotation here that says Nicole. Nicole. Why does it say Nicole? Is April not her first? Why does it say Nicole? Are you guys seeing this? I typed it in Wikipedia. It says April Margera Nicole. It's telling me to pronounce the word April as the word Nicole. Okay, I don't understand what that is. Anyways, PM Shower Beers says Brandon. Old Man Skateboard says Tyshawn. Yeah, Bam Margera's real first name is Tyshawn Cole Margera. Yeah, you were very close. James, iBook Boy, I think you may be referring to Chris Cole. PM Shower Beers, you are the winner. Send me a DM on Discord or on Twitch, and I will get your sticker pack sent out to you on Monday. Also, whoever won trivia last week, either I lost your DM or I didn't get it. If you send me a DM on Steve Hates Skating, I'm getting hundreds of DMs every single day. It's easy for those to get lost. Send me a DM on Discord or Twitch. Those never get lost because I almost never get DMs on those. So claim your prize. You are the champion. Moving on. iBook Boy just mentioned. It's funny how everything falls into place. iBook Boy just mentioned that Bam Margera jumped into a big tree. And I got high the other day off of a bunch of weed, gummies, and then I hit the vape. And I thought to myself, if I was a tree, would I like people climbing me? Or would I not like people climbing me? And I thought about it. I sat there and thought about this for several minutes. So in the video game Zelda, if you walk into a tree that's been turned into a tree from a human, half of the trees say, hey, leave me alone. You're annoying. And the other half of the trees go, hey, bro, I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm just a tree. Can you hang out and talk to me for a minute? So I'm wondering if trees would be like that in real life. So here's the two scenarios that I envisioned in my head. Okay, either the tree wants to be left alone, or does he want you to climb on him? Maybe it hurts. Maybe it bothers him. Maybe it would be like a mosquito climbing on you or a bug, and you're like, ugh, get this bug off me. And if you're a tree, you'd be like, man, get off me, dude. Quit climbing on me. You're itchy. You fucking smell weird. You know, I get enough things climbing on me already with squirrels and bugs, snakes. Like, leave me alone, human being. Or it could be like a nice back scratch. Or the tree could be like, oh yeah, dude, that's the spot. Climb higher. Oh yeah, get that branch on the side. Just having his back scratched. Also, he's bored. All the tree has to do all day is stare at the sky and just have leaves falling off of it and bugs and fucking... Basically, you're just growing up. You can't do anything. Maybe a person climbing on you would be fun. So I guess my question is, it's for you guys in the chat room. If you were a tree, would you be hyped on human beings climbing on you, or would you want to be left alone? Also, it'd be a cold day. If you were like a fruit tree, would you be like, yeah, sure, have my fruits, man. They're just going to go to waste anyways. I'm just going to have fruits, and if no one comes and picks them and eats them, they're just going to fall off, and maybe like a squirrel will eat it. Would you want people to come pick your fruits, or would you want them to leave you alone? And then the real sad part is what happens when some Mormon guy just cruises over and he's going to do a camping video and it's negative 50 degrees and he just starts chopping you down for no fucking reason to make firewood, even though he has a perfectly good house to live in. He still decided to just leave his house and go fuck up your day because you're just a tree minding your own business. This guy's eating fucking honey butter and making bread and then breaking your body into small pieces and burning you to death. So I guess I wonder. I feel like I would be hyped for you to climb on me. Also, if you fell, I would laugh. I'd be like, oh, you climbed and you fell. Like, you dumb human. You're funny. You're entertaining. You can climb on me and you can have my fruits. Which kind of would be like me coming on everyone. Or maybe I'd be giving... Would it be more like having a bunch of abortions, or would it be like coming? Hold on. Is a tree giving away its fruits? Would it be like cum, or would it be like an abortion? Okay, well, we can discuss that another time. I think if I was a tree, I'd be okay with somebody climbing me. Can we talk a little bit about Amazon delivery? I ordered some paint the other day because when I got my roof repaired last year, they broke one of my vents open and they broke a little hole in my ceiling. No big deal. They paid for the damages, but I haven't gotten around to fixing it yet. I have some patch. I'm going to patch it and sand it and then paint it. But I wanted to wait for everything to arrive before I got started. So my paint finally arrived yesterday. And it was a nice little square box. I got 1 quart of light blue paint. As I look down at this box, I know what's inside of it. It's going to be paint. It's a small little quart of paint, plenty just to paint the ceiling. And I got some small rollers and some paint brushes. I'm 100% ready to go. I got the patch. I got a very small, like 1 ounce little jar of patch. It'll be easy. I got all the tools I need. Just got to put a ladder in there, patch it, let it dry, sand it, paint it. I'll probably also wash the ceiling a little bit. The paint is also a primer and paint, so probably only needs 1 coat. I'm excited, ready to go. I look down at the box and I see that the box is leaking paint out of it. And luckily they did not put the box on my concrete because my concrete would then be light blue. They put it on this little pile of rocks that I have. And I thought to myself, well, I'm pretty sure that paint exploded in there, but you know what? Maybe it didn't. Maybe it's just one small leak. I open it up. The box is full of paint. The paint bucket must have exploded in transport. Probably from someone fucking throwing a fastball at the back of a UPS truck. So I go to do my Amazon return, and they say, make sure you return the paint. And I'm like, well, most of the paint is, I don't know where this box came from, but wherever the paint was last sitting, some of it's going to be there, some of it's going to be in the back of the delivery truck, some of it's in my driveway. This thing has been leaking for a long time. So let's say the box is like 6 inches tall. It's 3 inches of just it's 3 inches of free floating paint that leaked out of the bucket. So funny, man. And then I went and I returned it to Whole Foods because that's where I do my Amazon returns. And I had to let them know. I was like, I don't know why they wouldn't just let me keep this paint. It's going to cost more to ship it back. And also, you're not even going to get all your paint back because most of it is on the ground leaking out of the package. So I wrapped it in a bunch of grocery bags and I let the person know. I said, hey, this thing is leaking. Make sure you don't just leave it next to your backpack. Your backpack's going to become blue. So I thought that was funny because over the years I've gotten like small tools, just small things. I even got once a spray to make my dog smell better. And I said, hey, I don't like the way this smells. Can I send it back and get a refund? They said, no, just keep it and get your refund. They gave me my refund and they let me keep the dog spray. They've done this with tools before. I assume it's because it would cost more to pay for shipping back for them because they pay back shipping. It would cost them more to ship it back rather than to let me keep it. But whoever's sending out the paint didn't get that memo because they're not going to get it. The paint that comes back is not going to be usable. So overall, I thought that was kind of a funny situation. Not so smart now, are you, Jeff Bezos? The good thing about that is I love returning things back to Amazon because then I have an excuse to visit Whole Foods. And I hate everyone in Whole Foods. Oh, not everyone. There's one person I like in Whole Foods. T's uncle works there. So whenever I go in there, I go look for him to say hi. So I hate everyone except for T's uncle, DJ Legend. I hate everyone in Whole Foods except one person. Because everyone up there is just like, they just seem like they're too special, right? The stereotype fits reality every time I've ever gone there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But the good thing is they have one section where it's just multiple cheeses, like fancy cheese that I've never heard of, that comes in tiny little blocks, like 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches, tiny cubes of cheese. And each cube is like $3 or $4. So it's the little things that excite me. I get to go in there and I get to try some exotic cheese that I've never tried before. And it only cost, $3 or $4. So I got some 2-year aged Parmesan. I got some 6 months aged white cheddar. And I got another cheese that I've never heard of. So after this podcast, I'm going to go and try out these cheeses with some wine. First, you shove the cheese in your ass, then you shove the wine in your ass. That's how you that's the correct way to enjoy it, right? Or you're supposed to swish it around in a glass first or something, and then it goes in your ass. I don't remember, but I'll look it up. Anyways, got some exciting fancy cheese. Can't wait to try those. I was going to invite my buddy Nick over today and give him some cheese on a nice chicken Caesar salad. But he said barbecue at his house. They're probably going to be doing short ribs. I'm excited for that. They always get the best salsa green sauce from La Bonita. It's always the best. Sometimes they even get this shrimp ceviche and like this green sauce that's so good. So I don't like driving over to Nick's house, but you know what? After the podcast, I'll probably go over there because it's good vibes over there. There's a dartboard. We play games. Maybe we'll play some dominoes or some chess, some darts. We play some darts and play with some guns and some knives. Just all around like little guys party, right? Play with some guns, some knives, eat some short ribs and spicy sauces. Maybe we'll get the fire pit going. Who knows? But I was looking forward to sharing my cheese with my friend, but it shall not happen today. Anyways, final topic of the day. I finished the final episodes of Cobra Kai. I've been watching Cobra Kai since it came out on Netflix, and the whole season has finally come to an end. If you've been watching it and you did not know that there's new episodes, you have to check out these new episodes. They are really good. Now, over the years, I've reviewed Cobra Kai several times on this podcast, usually at the end of each season. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts about the entire series now. There's a lot of corniness. There's a lot of cheesiness. It's supposed to be cheesy. I think they went overboard on a lot of stuff. They did a great job involving the past cast from when the show came out in like the 80s. They brought back a lot of those characters and 90s, and they brought back several characters from every single original movie. I thought that was pretty amazing, except the ones with like the chick and the Will Smith one. Ugh, those were awful. I think we can all agree those were awful. But they brought back all the original characters. It was great. There were some good twists. The dialogue throughout the whole series is kind of whack. They were trying to make a lot of like pop culture references that aren't gonna really, it's not gonna make this new series a timeless series. I feel like if you show this to somebody in 5 years, they're not gonna get a lot of the weird jokes. Doesn't matter. They did a great job with closure. They did a great job bringing all the different storylines together. Because when you have a show with like 15 main characters, the storylines get really spread out. And to bring every storyline back together can be a real challenge. And I feel like they did a great job with that. And I think if you've been watching it from the beginning, you are, you are in for a treat. And if you haven't checked it out, if you have children, strongly recommend checking out Cobra Kai. If you have children and you're over the age of like 32, watch this fucking show with your kids. I think you'll enjoy it if you remember the nostalgia of Karate Kid. And I think they'll enjoy it because there's a lot of like pop culture references and it's a lot of fighting scenes. Every single episode has a fighting scene. And there's old characters and young characters that have to mesh every day. It's really cool. Every character goes through some sort of like developmental change, right? The only thing that's kind of funny and weird is that the series started like many years ago, like 5 years. It took 5 years to get through like 3 seasons. So a lot of the characters all grew up. So you cast a kid who's 17 for season 1, and then by season 3, the kid is supposed to still be 17. But now this kid's fucking 26 years old, trying to pretend he's 17 in the show. Everyone has a fucking 5 o'clock shadow. Everyone's way taller than they were before. I think that kind of killed it, which I think is also probably going to be the same fate for Stranger Things. All right? When a TV show is taking off, you guys gotta get to work, man. You can't let all these actors get old. If you got a bunch of like actors going through puberty and then suddenly, and now you have the #1 show on Netflix, you got to fucking get back to work. Get back in the studio. Get back shooting these videos and these movies because everyone ends up growing up, and when it takes fucking 7 years to do 2 seasons, you lose. You just kind of lose. You lose something. All right, it doesn't feel like the same character. That being said, when they did flashbacks, which is, this part's funny too, when they do a flashback from senior year to like the last year at school, everyone's aged fucking 8 years. Remember last year when we first met? Yeah, I was 7 years younger last year. So that was another thing that kind of fucked up the I don't know, the continental breakfast. How do you say that fucking word? The continuity. Jesus. The continental breakfast of that show got fucked up. Anyways, that's all I got for topics today. Can I get a oh hell yeah from everybody in the chat? If you did not make it to see the whole podcast today, maybe you showed up late, a repeat of this podcast comes out on Sunday on YouTube, on Podbean, on Spotify, on iTunes, everywhere where a podcast can be found. You can find this podcast, Stop Crying Poser. I appreciate everyone who may have supported the podcast today. I'm trying to get my alerts to load right now, but it's going so slowly. Thank you to iBookBoy for the 47 months of subscribes. Thank you to Turtles Are Kinda Cool for the 4 months. An extra big shout out to Got Booped yesterday, supporting the entire stream with a $100 donation. I know not everyone has tons of money this time of year, but if you want to support the podcast in some way, all you have to do is tell a friend. Shout out to iBookBoy, Day Day, Love My Toe, Day Day, Fluffy Nails, Cam702, Captain Chloroform, Love My Toe, iBookBoy. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. This is what, episode like 360 or something? We've been doing this podcast for over 5 years, probably close to 6 years. So I very much appreciate the new friends, the old friends, and whoever's in the middle there. You guys make my Fridays a little bit more fun, and you are very much appreciated. I will probably be ending the podcast right now, but the stream will continue. We do this podcast every single Friday, right around 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, right here on twitch.tv/Ninja Lifestyle. As I always say, have a great weekend. Don't drink too much, but don't drink too little. Also, watch out for the lobsters. Make sure you use scissors the correct way when you open a lobster, because they're sharp and spiky.